All right, so now we're gonna work on hoof trimming. As you can tell, I'm not wearing my safety goggles or my safety overalls or my gloves that we talked about in the last video, so you'll have to forgive me for this, but I do have my clean, sharp clippers. As I mentioned, you know, it's a personal favorite for what types of clippers work best for you. For me, with the size of my hands, these ones work the best and are a little bit easier for me to handle. This mom is still nursing a kid that's going to be weaned very shortly, so the kid will kind of be around and we're just going to shoo her out of the way. And what we'll do is we will start with a back leg here. So because I don't have a stand, I'm going to use my body weight to gently push her against this hog panel. The hog panel is not very sturdy, so I don't want to push her too hard because it could flop over. I'm going to run my hand down her leg so she knows to expect my touch. And I'm going to pick her foot up. And I'm going to let her calm down for a second. And there we go. So you can see that this hoof is starting to get a little bit overgrown, which is great for today's purposes. Hoofs always grow from the outside. So you can see that the edges are getting longer. And then over time, the heels extend out as well. When we're looking at hoof health, we're just going to make sure that there's no soreness in between the two cloves. You can see that that is a healthy interdermal area. We can touch this and it doesn't seem like anything sore or pussy or leaking. So this just looks like a typical overgrown hoof. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our clippers, and it's always best to go slow, just like you would cut a kid's fingernails. If you go too far, it'll hurt really bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by trimming down these edges that we can obviously tell are overgrown. I'm going to take small snips, and I'm going to try to get these edges level to the center of that hoof. Once I get that down a little bit, what I can actually do is this tip of the hoof, I can cut that off to a blunt edge. Again, taking small snips, and then continue to even up these outer hooves. Our goal is to get this flat. Doesn't always happen, but it's a good goal to have. Now that I'm starting to get down a little bit farther, I'm going to come to the back and take very small snips. You want to go until you start to see some pink flesh, and that's when we're going to stop, because that means that we're getting close to the nail bed. Oh, hold on, big girl. Okay, so you can just start to see it. We're not there yet, but getting a little bit closer. This is how much she likes this. So I'm going to come back here and take another small snip. And at this point, we're just going to try to even everything out. So you can see right here at this tip, there's just a little bit of pink. So that's as far as we're going to go. Right there is where the blood vessels start. If we go any farther, we could risk injuring her hoof. But we want to get as close as we can so that we're not trimming hoofs every single day. So knowing this is kind of my stopping point, I'm going to work backwards and just try to even everything out as best I can. Taking very small snips as we go along. This looks like might just be a growth of the hoof. So I'm going to trim that off so it doesn't get caught on anything. There we go. And I'd say for these purposes, that's pretty good. So now I'll do the other side a little bit quicker. And right here, oops, I just picked it out. That was just debris. So you can use the edge of your pliers to clean that out if that gives you a better sight line. Careful. Okay, there you go. Sometimes you'll get the outer edges lower than the middle, and that's okay. The biggest thing that we're trying to do is just go for the best we can get, especially because these goats are out on pasture where they can rub their hoofs down. That middle part will rub down on its own. And if you look at it from this side, you can see that we've cut down quite a bit of that heel, and the front's a little bit more blunt, and this will give her a more even spot to walk on. These ones, the dew claws, if they get too long, you can trim them. It doesn't affect the health of the animal at all, so I just leave them alone. And that's her back hoof.